Bom dia, Eva Cordia. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another Fireside Chat. And this is our 69th Fireside Chat, where I am in conversation with a member of the Order of Bards, Ovates and Druids. So I say here in Kilkenny, which is cold, we've had hail. I woke up to snow this morning, but it didn't last long on the ground. So just type in where you're from. Hi, Elvira Ciao from Italy, East Yorkshire, Washington, freezing Ulster. Oh, flippin' freezing Ulster. Bless you, Pat. Snowy Utah. Okay, Liverpool. Berlin. Hi, Floriana. And Ricky, lovely to see you. California. Don't know how the weather is like in California. Ava from Belgium. Just lovely to see you all. And Nikki, Cornwall. Lovely. New Jersey. Great. New Zealand. You're up early, so I'm impressed with that. Freezing Derry and Northamptonshire. Wonderful to see you all. That is wonderful. Chilly South London. Hi, Ferdy. Lovely to see you. Freezing cold Moore. Oklahoma. Okay. So you're all very, very welcome. And let me take you to meet my guest this evening. And I'd like you to meet Esther Harris. And Esther, you are so welcome to this chat.
Thank you. And welcome everybody to my office in my home in Bradford on Avon in Wiltshire, where we have had all 4 seasons in about 6 hours today. So currently it's obviously it's night time, but it's getting really chilly.
Wonderful. So, oh my God, Elaine says Saskatchewan, where the car battery is dead. It's an inside day. Okay, so what's Bradford on Avon? So I was thinking of Bradford is in Leeds. That's not the same Bradford, no.
No, this is it's another Bradford, which used to be called Broadford on Avon, because there was a crossing place on the river where there is now a bridge.
Okay.
And it is an old wall town. And so up on the escarpment, so it's an absolutely gorgeous place. And if anyone who's listening watching wants to Google it, you'll see on the escarpment lots and lots of little cottages, which is where the weavers used to live.
Oh.
So it's very, very pretty. But of course that industry went very long time ago indeed. And the town has lost one of its major industries, which was producing rubber for tyres, Avon tyres. But now it's famed for its bicycles from Alex Moulton.
Okay.
And other light engineering. Yeah. I've been living here for, oh gosh, nearly 40 years, and it's just never fails to please me.
Oh, brilliant. Why did they change the name from Broadford to Bradford, you know?
Well, I suppose during history, so many names have been corrupted, probably including my own original surname. I have no idea. I must. Perhaps I ought to read more history books about the town I live in. I don't know. Maybe it was to do with the association with wool, Bradford in Yorkshire, Bradford on Avon in Wiltshire. That's my fantasy, anyway.
Okay. And it's the Avon. Are there more than one Avon rivers?
Yes, this is not the one that goes to Stratford upon Avon, but apparently Avon actually translated means river, so it's river.
Oh, okay.
So yes, but it's not the one that goes to Stratford upon Avon. It's a different one. I'm just turning my phone off because I don't want to be interrupted, as I surely will be if I don't do that small thing. Right.
Okay. So the outer landscape. So you're in a big town, and then do you have any like sacred sites or any interesting features?
I am totally spoiled for sacred sites. I'm 45 minutes from Stonehenge. I'm 45 minutes from Avebury, probably the same time and distance to St Andrew, Stone Circle. I'm only 10 miles from Bath. So obviously there's the Roman sites there. Roman baths, or a royal crescent. I mean, it's a complete Georgian city. So, really, I'm surrounded by absolutely centuries of history, and it's an absolute gift. My home is only a 5-minute walk away from a country park where there's the most amazing tithe barn, and the park sits between the Kennet and Avon Canal and the River Avon. So it's an absolutely beautiful place to live.
Oh, wonderful. I see a comment from Pat. Is Avon connected to the Irish Avon? And we spelled that Ehainn, and the way I would pronounce it is Avon, that the B would be silent, or the H would silent. Normally BH a V sound. And then we see Afon, Anna saying, is the river in Welsh. So I imagine they're very, very similar. Avon, and I don't know, in Gaelic, do they say Avon for, or I know there's a Scotch whisky called Bunnahowan. I would say Bunnahowan, but I'm feeling that they may be very, very similar. So yes.
Actually, just tweaked something I remember now is across the river from where I am, because obviously you cross the bridge. It was once Wales. I remember. I did read some history, and I remember that bit. But yes, maybe I don't know. But certainly, I now intend to find out.
Okay, well, very good. So you have some homework to do after this chat. John King in Scotland says the Gaelic, it's Alt, Allt. Okay, very, very interesting. You said something about your name changing. What was that?
Well, it was Corrins. But in the my late husband Philip, his investigation into my family history, it was corrupted from Curran.
Okay.
And I know there was a lot of toing and froing between Ireland, Derry actually. There's someone from Derry here, Derry and Glasgow.
Okay.
So you just never know. All that has to happen is it's changed once on an official form.
That's right.
And it stays that way.
I know we have many, number of different surnames in here in Ireland. There are different variations of the same surname that, again, at some point changed or was miswritten or whatever, and then became another name, but has the same origin. So yeah. Okay. So you mentioned Philip.
Yes.
And he passed, was it 2 years ago?
Passed at Beltane 2020.
Okay. I'm such a loss because I remember meeting you and Philip for the first time at the Kate and Barry Riley were doing the ritual and meditation workshop in Glastonbury, and that's where I met you both.
Gosh, all those years ago. That's incredible.
A long time ago. Yeah. So yeah, and I just remember his incredible kindness. He was one of those gentle people. I remember, and I remember writing to you when he passed, that being in on my own in that Italian restaurant, I can't remember the name of it, in Glastonbury, and I'm happy eating on my own. And he said, "You can't be on your own," and he brought me over to your table, and I thought, oh, it was just so sweet. And I've never forgotten it.
Yeah. And what you wrote in the card you very thoughtfully sent me about that story was actually read out at his pretty amazing funeral service.
So what's life been like?
It's a bit Alice in Wonderland. I feel as though I've fallen down a rabbit hole. Philip passed, let's say on May the 2nd, on a glorious spring day, when we had, in fact, only just moved house. We had only moved about sort of 3/4 of a mile down the road.
Okay.
And it was the middle of COVID. And so I must have channeled, I think, my great grandmother, if you're listening, Katie Elder, she was Irish, delighted to say, must have been an extraordinarily resilient woman. So I'm grateful for her strength, but it's been very odd, because it's first of all, it's sort of adjusting to life without Philip when I couldn't go anywhere without him, to being let out, should I say, various phases during the epidemic, to find what it was actually like being truly out there without him. And it's what can I say? Some days I'm okay, some days I'm not. It's like it's almost as if I live with my loss, I live with my grief, and at any time I almost now expect and accept that I will experience an overwhelming sense of sadness, which is bittersweet. And I think once the shock of loss and the initial pain goes, then you allow the memories to come back with places and music and people. Yeah, it's beautiful in the most strange way. I can't capture it. It's almost like a sense of, hey, I really had that. God, I'm so grateful that I was able to do that. And tears might come, but a smile comes at the same time. So it's just a whole mixture of emotions. Yeah, I remember him. I remember every single day. Yeah. I have a story to tell, if I may. And Philip was in the army when he was, I think he joined when he was 18, 19, something, mere youth, really. And he decided he wanted to join an elite regiment. So he joined paratroopers. And I was telling you the other day on our quick chat that he was in the last red drop into Suez. So, the tender age of 19, with 110 pounds of kit on his back, he jumped from an aeroplane into a war zone. And I can't imagine what either sort of. There was a real warrior in Philip. That's the only way I can say, a real, genuine warrior. And he didn't talk to me very much about those experiences. As veterans don't, really. And I was sorting through the piles of paper that you go through, and I found a very wad of very old computer printout, the old green and white striped stuff with the holes down the sides.
Yes,
and Philip had written a book.
Wow.
It was a book. And so I decided to, because I was absolutely bored about a year ago, during winter, I phoned a friend with a business across the road and said, can you do a self-publish for me? And between us and a journalist friend of mine, we actually created that book.
Wonderful.
And it was a fulfillment of a promise Philip made to a dead comrade on the battlefield when he said, I will write that book.
Oh my God.
So it's there.
Suez, Caught in the Cross.
It's called Suez, Caught in the Crossroads of History, A Soldier's Story. But what he also did was he sorry, I've forgotten what I was going to say now. Yeah, he'd done 4 big annotated albums, so the pictures are in here. But if I can hold this up, oh, we're going the wrong way, Esther. That's, you see, that's the no, it's not.
Are you showing the picture or the text?
No, I'm trying to show you. Can you see that picture?
You need to move it over to your right. To your right. More to your right. Keep going. 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 So that's Pegasus, I take it.
Oh, that's no, that is the. I can see it now. That's the Airborne Forces Memorial at the National War Memorial in Staffordshire.
Okay.
I can never pronounce the name of the warrior. It sounds like Bellerophon, something. That's him that's the warrior in the air, and then the warrior on the ground with the statue in front with Philip.
Oh, wonderful.
Okay. So yeah, that's that story from just a pile of paper.
Can I have the title of the book? Somebody's asking me to put it in, so I'll type it again. So it's by Philip Harris, yes?
Oops, this is most confusing, Eimear.
Yes, I know. This is it's part of your Druid initiation.
Oh, thanks for that.
I don't tell people.
You don't tell people that they've got to get a book published and then put it on a screen. Okay.
Yes. Okay, soldiers.
Whoever wants a copy of it, I'll gladly post it to them.
How will they contact you?
Yeah, they can. Please do.
How?
The best thing is my email address.
Can I put that in?
Yeah, please.
So it's Esther what?
Esther E. Harris at outlook.com. And it's Esther E. Harris.
Yes, at Outlook. Esther E. Harris. Yes, and Ricky says it's the Bellerophon is the warrior. The
I can never remember how to pronounce it, but that was being able to do the book was very much part of grieving process. It was honouring Philip. It was honouring all the the whole regiment who very kindly invited me to Westminster Abbey back last November to the Field of Remembrance.
Oh, lovely!
Where they'd placed a cross on the parachute regiment plot, which was the whole. It was. I feel very gifted, very, very sort of honoured to have been involved in that. But also the whole process of Philip's amazing Druid funeral.
Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, he'd left a list, which was in our commonly known as our death book, but it's only full of scraps of paper. But I found this scrap of paper, and he said he wanted to be buried in his Druid robes. Okay. So in lockdown, I broke out and went to my storage facility and got his robes. He wanted a Druid ceremony. He wanted certain people to be involved, and they were. And actually, I don't know if anyone knows of Christopher Hughes. Christopher wrote an utterly brilliant book about death and dying. And yet again, I borrowed quite a few of the certainly about the honouring of all directions from that book. It was there were only 10 of us there, but there were multitudes there. There were it was all the Druid companions. We didn't follow. It was in a beautiful Bristol Memorial woodland. It was absolutely stunningly hot, glorious day. And we opened a circle. We went into this amazing chapel. And I didn't know the florist at the Undertakers Centre was a Druid. And we went round the woodland and took some of every ogham from all the trees. So the wreath on the casket, the willow casket, was the entire ogham. It was just stunning. We didn't do the usual eulogies. We read out wonderful messages, including yours, and at the graveside, it was just glorious. It was all directions were there. We had the most fantastic fire, which we put out at the end. And JJ, sorry, I'm jumping back now, but you know, the sort of going from the chapel to the graveside. JJ, drummed on Philip's White Eagle drum.
Lovely.
And JJ and Adrian did the committal, and as Philip was lowered into Mother Earth, JJ did the most wonderful chant.
Deep into the earth.
We all cried. I do not. It was just such a gift from Druidry to be able to have that powerful ritual and to give Philip what he wanted to be with my companions. It was phenomenal. It really was. Everyone said it was the best funeral they'd ever been to, if you can do such a thing. And I suppose on a lighter moment, when we were sitting outside the little glorious sort of garden with a big pond and sitting in the sunshine, I said, I said, if Philip was here, he'd say, I want a funeral just like that. But I did spend, I wrote his funeral myself, all of it. And that was so cathartic.
Yeah.
So cathartic. Just the most, if anyone ever gets the not that I don't take this the wrong way, but if you ever have to write a funeral, just go with your heart.
Yes.
Go with your heart, and the love of friends and the support of companions and all those amazing memories that you can glean from over those years. It really was. So I've never been happier, more content, more to be a Druid than I ever was on that day. Really, it was amazing. Just fantastic.
It just, because Howard died 7 years ago and we prepared his funeral together and we had a Druid funeral in our garden. But, it's interesting you talk about having a death book. And I think that's really, really important. We didn't have a death book, but we had conversations from the beginning of our relationship about what kind of a funeral we wanted and where we'd be buried, etc. And it evolved over the years, but we had always talked about it. So when, I don't know how, if Philip died suddenly or not, but Howard had cancer. We knew he was going to die at some point, and we'd had the conversation. And for me, being able to give him the funeral that he wanted, that went such a long way towards helping me with the grief.
Yeah, and because it was, we had half a day.
Yeah,
and it was not the sort of sanitized quick version. It was something that really, that we took time to think and to be and to mourn, and that made such a tremendous difference. And he's buried under 3 oak trees.
Beautiful, beautiful.
And I have sat round the wheel of the year on a seat by his grave. I've gone from Beltane right the way round, right the way through. I've watched the oak tree in full leaf. I've watched it die. I've watched it come back to life. And that, to sit with the wheel of the year in grief is just amazing. As you realise that your state of being, is so imbued with a sense of the seasons.
Yes.
I can't. It's too full to describe. I'd be talking to you at midnight if I were to really go into it. But it was just so odd that Beltane is directly opposite Samhain.
Yeah.
And that took some doing. But the Cailleach was present.
Brilliant.
And benign.
Yes.
I believe she is benign. So that's been a huge part of my journey, and pleased to be sitting here able to remember it so vividly, and with such I don't know, what can I call it, almost affection really for the whole process. Grateful to have been able to have had it. So, but we didn't have his wake until last year in September. So it was 17 months after he died, we had a wake. But Philip wanted a party, so he had one. It was the last thing on the list.
A party.
He had a party with a specially designed cocktail.
Oh, lovely. Yeah, it's Franny says, grief to gratitude and back again. I lost my mom 2 years ago, right before COVID. Kind thoughts with you during your sad times.
Oh, thank you.
And I think gratitude is really important. And I think for me, I was grateful for what I had for the length of time I had it. And I think you talk about the bittersweet grief is the price you pay from having had a good relationship.
Absolutely. There's a lovely line in the film Shadowlands, where he and his wife are together overlooking the Golden Valley, and one of them says, the happiness now is part of the grief to come, the pain to come, and that's the deal. Or C.S. Lewis. And then when she died, the grief now was part of the happiness, and there is a price to pay. And as far as I'm concerned, the price is more than worth it. Yeah, more than worth it.
I agree with you. Absolutely. It's yeah, Anne, it sounds like an absolutely beautiful Druid funeral. Thank you for letting us share it. So Philippa says, it sounds a wonderful last journey. Talif says, working with water right now, and this truly is a beautiful story and event. I'm so pleased that Philip had such love and care on his day. It's and just people saying how beautiful, he had such a wonderful send off. And you were fortunate because given that it was in COVID, I mean, I know at the beginning people didn't even have funerals, they weren't allowed to be with their loved ones, all of that, and that heartbreak. I know I was spared that, and I think I would have found that really, really difficult.
I was with him when he passed. The consultant allowed me to spend Philip's last hours, for which I will ever be grateful. And I sang Arwen's to him as he took his last breath. And the regimental march of the parachute regiment is the Ride of the Valkyries. So thank God for Google. I played him the Ride of the Valkyries as they came and took his soul to Valhalla. Okay. I'm going to cry in a minute. No, I'm not. It's okay.
No.
Oh dear.
Pat says here, I mean, Philip was in the ground and Howard was too. Pat says the guy who got cremation legalized was, excuse me, William Price, and he was a Druid.
And I didn't know that.
And
yeah, we still go to the elements, though, don't we? And
we do.
In in India, Bombay. I've actually, you can't see it for obvious reasons, but the Tower of Silence. I forget which. I can't remember what they called. Not sect, whatever. Lay the dead out in the Tower of Silence, and the hawks devour the bodies and take them into the air.
That's right. Talif says, I'd like a sky burial, but I think they're illegal now.
You could always have your ashes put in a rocket, a firework.
But I know, the sky burial would be, where the birds and the hawks and the vultures.
Oh yeah, it would. That would be phenomenal.
Your
And of course, there are sea bearers, so you could. I just realised how involved the elements are in a committal. So thank you everybody for that. That's something else to write to my tutor about.
Yes. Pat says he was in the 1800s. He's one of the guys we remember alongside Stukely and Youre as part of the early revival period. Oh, she's a font of information, is Pat. Wonderful. And Linda Joan, thank you, Linda. You're up. I'm very impressed. Linda's in Australia on Norfolk Island.
Linda.
Being a druid really helped me when my son died 4.5 years ago. I also did 2 ceremonies for my son, the second being an extended day evening with family and friends. That's lovely to hear that, Linda. John King says, bless you, Esther. We both know you. Thank you for sharing such a beautiful way. That's Lynn and John.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you.
And Ferdiad says he's the druid. I don't know if this is true. He's the druid that wore the long johns. That's the guy who did the cremation or legalized the cremation. William. I've forgotten it now. Sorry about this. I'm getting. I've forgotten his name, but the guy who got it legalized, the druid from the 1800s. He wore long johns. Brilliant. And then Lisa says, it's my daughter's birthday today. She's with friends, but worn out from dealing with grief and care for her beloved dad, who's fighting cancer. I am supported. This is good to hear because I don't quite know what to do except be helpful. Sorry to hear that, Lisa.
Yeah, oh, Lisa, that is that sort of helpless feeling. You don't know what to do, and you're sort of scared of putting your foot in it. And I would say to everyone, because everyone wants to call you, and everyone's worried about calling you. And then you wish they would, and then they do, and you wish they wouldn't, and then it gets to be a fearful muddle. But of course, it was in COVID, and so I would say, if I need you, I know you're there, and I will. I promise you, reach out. I know you're there. That's really enough for now.
Do you know what I found was receiving texts from people, because Howard was dying for 6 weeks, so they knew, is to receive a text, I'm thinking of you, just checking in and not asking me a question, so that there was no obligation for me to reply. I had 2 people who were constantly asking me questions, which I'd have to answer, and then they come back with another question. And that wore me out. I thought, no. I had one friend who said, I'm lighting a candle for you today, thinking of you today, just know I'm with you. That was just so lovely. And I think, Lisa, the thing is, it's just about being.
Yeah.
That there is nothing you can say, but about being, and not being afraid of tears and grief.
You need to go into it, because you will come out of it.
That's right.
Yeah. It won't last. And I wasn't, Lisa, what I found quite profound, and was that I was in contact with cards and flowers and people, texts and emails, very few phone calls, but I felt almost physically held. I can't explain it. There are no words. But Lisa, what you're probably doing is adding to that sense of holding somebody without actually needing to do anything. I hope that makes some kind of sense.
I think it does. She's saying yes, being.
We are, yeah.
Yeah.
Someone once said to me, "You're a human being, Esther. You're not a human doing."
Exactly.
And I really, that sort of resonated with me, and I say it frequently. Lisa, I'm sending you the most enormous hug.
Yes. And I know also when people are asking me how is it and things are going, I say he's still here. You know, so we had decided to live as fully as we could for as long as we could. And whatever that meant. And he was getting weaker and weaker and weaker. But it was like, okay, each time, for every moment is precious, and we will live it as fully as we can, and just have that. And Philippa says many try to stop people from crying. I hate that, Philippa. I think they feel uncomfortable and don't know what to say, because crying never killed anybody. It's very, very healing.
True.
And
it's so true.
To allow somebody cry and sit with them without doing anything. And then Thalif made just to be there. That's what helped me with my mother. Yeah. Just to know there was somebody there if I needed, and just to be present and witness. Absolutely, you're spot on there.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I just want to say thank you for everybody, you know, who's sort of sending messages, and they're feeling able to talk about death and dying. I think that being with the wheel of the year and the cycle of our lives and the cycle of the land, it's a natural rhythm, and it sort of gets to your soul. It really, there's just something. Yes, again, I think everyone knows what I mean, but the words seem too inadequate to describe that really powerful connection with nature.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been thinking a lot today, as I'm sure it's been in everyone's minds, about what's happening in Ukraine, which is truly tragic. My heart goes out to them. This is just beyond awful, and for me, can't possibly imagine what it's like for them. And I as I often do, I sort of go back to the power of nature, and I want to share this thought, that I thought, Putin, you can shell and bomb and do what you like, but you will not destroy the power of nature. That will go on. You can't destroy it. And I thought I found that thought comforting. Obscure, perhaps, but comforting.
Well, you know, when all else fails, if you can hold on to that, that's a constant, is our connection with nature. And that can be like an anchor.
It
when
is.
You can't control anything else.
It is an anchor, and it's immutable, and it's a power greater than me.
Yeah.
It's a power much greater than me, which I have tremendous respect for and want to work with, not against.
Yeah. Well, Lisa says, thank you, everyone. I'm sending her videos of her puppy. This is her daughter whom I'm sitting for. And then she says humor. Absolutely. And I think it's those kind of, to be able to have humor and laughter amidst the tears. I think that's,
that's very true. And not to feel guilty for smiling or laughing either.
Absolutely. And funny, oh my God, there's loads of comments flying here, and I want to acknowledge. Shanti says, yes, it's almost frustrating to see I was the only one crying at my grandmother's funeral. It was almost felt as if being vulnerable was something to be ashamed of. So there's that, and I think that's a really hard thing, because I remember we didn't cry at my father's funeral, and my mother said, "Oh, people said we conducted ourselves so well, you know, with dignity and whatever it is." And I didn't cry at Howard's funeral. We did a lot of laughing,
Mm.
you know, and tears are important, and so is laughter, and that be how you are.
It's being, well, it's honoring yourself and honoring your feelings, and the grief, the tears are for the love.
Yeah.
That you know that was shared over so many years, and but if it's all held in and somatizes, you know, people become ill with it.
Absolutely.
Cry, laugh, pound pillows, scream into pillows,
Mhm.
curl up into a ball on the floor and howl. So I've done all those.
Stay in bed, get up, whatever it is. Yes. Just Francis says, "Hi Esther, good to hear you. I'm 130 kilometers from the border with Russia. It's a tense time for many." So I don't know, Francis, where you are, what country you are, but that's very close, 130 Ks.
That is close, Francis. Yeah. I can't imagine your thoughts and feelings right now, and yeah, just hope and pray that, you know, you are kept safe, and your loved ones, and your country is safe, your homeland.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, she's in Finland. I daren't pronounce the first. It begins with R. Rovaniemi. Forgive my Finnish is actually non-existent. I can say Finland. That's about as it. That's close. Okay. So anyway, Lisa is very grateful. You know, she's it's been really helpful. Shanti has a question. I wonder if your birth element has any astrological correlation to how you prefer to go funeral-wise.
Oh, crikey. Oh, I don't. Oh dear. Well, I'm down for a burial, but you know, I'm a Leo and it's a fireside. So
I'm a Leo too. My moon is in Pisces, so, but I'm also very earthy. And I did want to be cremated. When I met Howard first, I said, I want to be cremated. And I wanted some of my ashes scattered in Africa and some in Clonmacnoise where my father's buried. And then he said, well, you're not going with me because we have a graveyard just beside our house. And Dorothy, his first wife, is buried there and he's buried beside her. And I thought, well, maybe if I'm around, I'll probably go in there. And I thought actually when he was going into the ground, being put in, that I would find that really, really hard. Because often when you watch at funerals, it's when the coffin's being lowered in, or at the cremation when the curtains go around the coffin, that I said, no, he's going home. I was so reassured. I thought he's going back into the mother. So I thought, that's really, really comforting for me. I think I might be happy to be buried as well. So Franny says, does that mean I get out to sea? She's a Cancer. Who knows? Wait, you're close to Finland. Were there Vikings in Finland as well? I mean, you're in Scandinavia. Maybe you can get a Viking funeral. Oh, that'll be fire as well.
That's what Philip wanted, a Viking funeral. I thought, no, it's not feasible. But I did put a little. He had a little pewter Viking boat. He kept on a. I think she's by his bedside, so I put that at his feet.
Oh, lovely. Okay.
Yeah. Thought that was the least I can do. Talking of Vikings, I wonder if anybody has ever had their DNA tested to find out where they, you know, the origins of their birthplace.
I bet you they'll come in a few minutes, the questions for that. I'm just interested. This has started about funerals. We'll come back to that. So Linda Joan, who's in Norfolk Island, I've told all my friends and family that I'll be buried here in Norfolk Island, and also my son's ashes will be put with me. John King, as part of my Druid practice, I've just made my funeral urn, and I'm starting. And then Shanti, who asked the question, I have fire moon and ascendant with air sun sign, and I'd like a cremation. So I imagine lots of people have done their DNA. But nobody's answered yet. So sometimes there's a delay.
Mm.
So you had yours done?
Oh, when I had to write about ancestors, I felt sorry for my tutor because it went into 10,000 words.
Oh dear.
Yes. He's very tolerant, my tutor. Yeah, I'll be very brief. Philip was doing family history, and through ancestry.co.uk, I linked up with a cousin I didn't even know I had. That's another story. Who lived just outside Glasgow, and it was her son who was doing their family history, and ancestry.co.uk, if they see two lines being researched, link you up.
Ah.
So it is this cousin who had all the photographs of our great grandmother's farm in Ireland.
Go away.
Ah. Yep. In Lenamore. So, but it's going off into another story that would take hours. So I have a huge family where I didn't think I had any, and they're all in Scotland. But the DNA, the first one I had done, because my parents are Scottish and their parents were Scottish, but all my great-grandparents are Irish.
Okay.
So the first DNA came back 63%. The second one came back, because they refined it, as being 83% Irish, something else sort of Western Europe, which must be Scotland, with a dash of Viking. Which I was quite enchanted by. But they also give you the geographical location of, there's a cluster of people with the same DNA. They give you the geographical location, which is about 10 miles from where the retreat is in April.
Go away. So did they use the word dash? Because Anne Beer says she's got a dash of Ireland.
No, they don't use the word dash. It's Scandinavian, but I romanticized it into Viking.
It's using a dash. Just funny, I wondered.
No, it was just.
We've got lots of mongrels here.
Sorry.
We've got lots of mongrels here. There's bits and pieces. None of us is 100%. And I never know, what does the percentage actually mean?
I don't know. I think it just means because Philip took the family history back, the ancestry thing, which he got very keen on in Druidry. Took my family history back to the 1700s, and it's all Ireland on both my father's and my mother's side. My father's ancestors were down from Waterford, and my mother's up near Derry.
And you see that genealogy would be far more informative, wouldn't it, than the actual DNA test, because you've actually found, you've got connections in Waterford and Derry, and where you're coming on the retreat in April, that you're going to be closer again, but that you have that. Beautiful. Ferdy, it says genetic DNA ancestry is interesting in that it misses more ancestors than it includes, as it only studies the matrilineal line, mothers of mothers, or patrilineal line, the fathers of fathers. So it's only the percentage of that line. You lose exponentially more data the more generations you go back. Wow, Linda can trace back to 1380 in Dundee in Scotland.
Oh, that's amazing.
Okay, and then Lisa says, we found some cousins and relatives of DNA. I know people who've been adopted have a bit like, I think it was 23. I've never used this, so I think it's 23andMe. Maybe that's the one. I'm not too sure. they found matches. They obviously throw everything into a pool, and they I know people who've been adopted have found cousins
Mm,
that who and that's an interesting thing about finding
mm.
relatives that way. It can be really useful in some way, you know.
Yeah, it was that was quite remarkable. And I met my cousin now, quite correctly, me 10 years ago. But what she had were family photographs I'd never seen, because my mother, my real grandmother, died not long after my mother was born. She died of Spanish flu in 1918.
Okay.
And she was adopted by her father's brother. So I never knew my real maternal grandparents, but my cousin had loads of photographs. So I saw my real grandfather's face
Love.
for the first time, which was phenomenal. And also this amazing photograph of this my great grandmother, Catherine Elder, with her 6 children. And really saw her face the first time. So it's this amazing sort of family history opened up. It was just phenomenal.
Did you see resemblances then? You know, going.
Very much with my cousin Anne. She's a second cousin, really. It was her mother and my mother who were cousins. But we could be sisters.
Wow.
It's really quite remarkable, and sort of funny little traits that we've identified in each other. And it's such a gift, absolutely amazing. So sort of going from being an only child, both parents deceased, to sort of suddenly this opening up and being able to meet phenomenal.
Pat accepts the dash of Viking, and she's right. I hadn't thought of this. It could come through your Irish line because Waterford is a Viking town.
Sorry, where is
Waterford? You said you've family from Waterford.
Really? Oh, right. Okay.
Wexford, Waterford, Cork, even Limerick, Dublin. Well, Dublin is a big Viking town. Yes.
Yeah, because the Vikings came and they chopped down thousands of trees to build their ships.
As the Normans, and everybody did that. And it's funny, we weren't taught, when I was in school, they were bad people who raided all the monasteries and stole all the silver and all the valuable church things. But they settled here and intermarried, as well. It was, it's interesting to go back into Viking history and see that, yes, there was a lot of intermarriage as well.
It's all totally fascinating. And Philip and I went to Ireland. This was some years ago because of my family name Corrin.
Okay.
There is a Corrin Hill just outside Fermoy.
Okay.
And I had to go. I had to climb Corrin Hill. Which is, you can see it for miles around. There's a most enormous cross on the top, because it's as you walk up, you go through 12 stations, it's a cross.
Okay.
But I just, had this real. I don't know if anyone else has ever felt a pull towards land or a land. It's just something that is just there. And so I had to go there. And there's also a Corrin monument on the Isle of Man. Corrin Tower.
It's just it's fascinating, isn't it?
Yeah, oh, well, yes, and I could spend the rest of my life researching it, I suppose, but and travel to all these places. But so yes, I'm just so looking forward to being in Ireland. I've just looked at the time. My God, where did that go?
Oh yeah, we've another 4 hours to go. I didn't tell you this is an extra.
So you break it gently in the last 5 minutes, Eimear.
Now, Julia Foyle says, I'm also related to that famous Aoife from Ireland way back. I don't know, do you mean Aoife MacMurrough, the daughter of the King of Leinster, who was married off to Strongbow, the Norman? I don't know which Aoife. That's an interesting one. So who knows?
Who knows? And yes, I don't know quite how far back it's practically possible to go, but it's endlessly fascinating, really. So I shall go and find my great grandmother's farm when I come over.
And that's in Donegal.
It's in Lenamore. It's not far from Letterkenny.
Okay, that's Donegal. Lovely.
Oh yeah, it's in Donegal, of course. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that. I'm going to hire a car. I'm going to explore.
Well, Donegal is magic. I was there at the weekend during Storm Eunice and Franklin, and it was just lovely. So when I arrived on Friday, it was a snowy landscape, but when I was leaving, all the snow was blown away by Franklin. But it's an incredible landscape. Absolutely.
Is anybody who's watching the chat going to be at the retreat?
I've no idea.
That would be great to meet anybody. Anybody else going?
I can't tell you who's there now. Not here, but sorry. You will know some people who are on the retreat.
Oh, yeah, fantastic. That's amazing.
Absolutely. So Julia's looking up her ancestor, Aoife MacMurrough. She married in 1170. That's right. Okay, there's a question for you. Did Philip ever work for a local paper in Wiltshire? I worked there for many years, and I remember a manager called Philip Harris, who was married to Esther. This is Vivian Wright.
Vivian, how amazing! where in the world are you?
And it'll take a while for her to come up and answer. Isn't that incredible? So
that's absolutely fair. Yes. Vivian. The only Vivian I knew was Philip's secretary. I don't think that wasn't her surname. How extraordinary.
She's in Torpen Ridge, Wiltshire. It's TRPWN. I don't know if that's a typo or if that's a Welsh name. TRPWNRIDGE, Wiltshire.
Well, if she has my email and she would like to get in touch, I'd love to meet her.
Oh, wonderful. Anyway, because Vivian, Esther's email is up there. Is already, Mimsy says hi, Esther. Mimsy from Belgium.
Oh, Mimsy. Hello, Mimsy. How's Sparky?
Yes, the lovely dog, Sparky. She's in Trowbridge. She's a friend of Pauline, is Vivian.
That's incredible. We're 2 miles away from each other.
Well, it just shows that you have to reach out to the whole world to find neighbours. Isn't it wonderful? And John and Lynn want to know, will you be at the summer gathering?
Yes, I will.
Lovely.
Bring tissues. You'll probably cry a hell of a lot. Yeah, it'd be great to see you. Oh, it's amazing.
Brilliant. There's great. There's thumbs up for that. Tell me, which what brought you to? We started, where you said that, being able to write Philip's funeral, was just a really, really important part of your Druidry. But what brought you to Druidry in the first place? How did you? This is where you are, but how did you start off?
Synchronicity and Adrian Rook.
Okay, it's mentioned quite often.
No, we had some visitors. It's the year 2000. It was our day of our 20th wedding anniversary, 21st of March. I think we were Druids before we became Druids. And it was, what should we do for the day? Oh, let's go to Avebury. And there we were, serenely looking at the stones, and looked across, and those who know Avebury know the Red Lion pub, and I saw Adrian. And I thought, I knew he was a Druid. So I sort of abandoned my friends, who were quite bemused, as I hurtled across the road, and started hugging this white-robed Druid. Surprised
Did you
everybody.
know him? Did you
Oh
know
no,
him?
I've known Adrian for years. We used to be
Oh,
colleagues at a drug and alcohol counselling agency.
okay.
And Adrian said, well, come and join the ritual. So we did. On a glorious spring day, Philip was holding hands with someone called Cuckoo. King Arthur was leading the ritual. And Adrian said, well, look, why don't you come along to the Grove? And the rest is history. So it's Adrian Rook's fault.
Oh, lovely. So you're in the Dabuni Grove.
Yeah, and then we kind of became sort of a bit nomadic. Went up to Cornovi, and now I belong to Ashgrove near Glastonbury with Penny,
Okay.
Penny and Arthur.
Brilliant.
Yes, but and Adrian and I have been friends for crikey, for years. But it was, you know, this image in my mind of Adrian standing there looking resplendent in his Druid robes, opening a door, which we walked through into some just such an amazing world. Yeah, so it's down to Adrian. So Adrian, if you ever see this broadcast on YouTube, I know I've told you this. I've told you how special you are and how special your introduction to Druidry was to both Philip and myself. I mean, it's not sort of life-changing, really, if I'm honest about it, a rather overused phrase, but to have met so many wonderful people who just have that sense of connectedness without having to say too much is fantastic. So yeah, that's how it happened at Avebury.
Wow. And do you have a daily practice?
No, I don't. I've thought about it. I've never quite got into that kind of rhythm.
Yeah.
It's I suppose it's more, I don't know, how can I put it? A sense of continual connectedness with and noticing nature around me. And I go for walks, I watch the seasons change, I suppose. You know, I go out, feed the swans, feed the ducks. You know, so it's that. And if it's almost like, to quote the famous car sticker, nature is my church.
Yeah.
And of course, you know, if I'm working with the Gwers, then of course, but it's not on a daily basis. It's sort of pretty fragmented. So in a rather convoluted answer to your question is no.
And you see, well, you do, if you're out doing things like being with the birds and the ducks, that is a practice.
Yes. So I do, but it's not as others, you know, have something more defined, as in a regular time, as in a every day to do something. But yeah, I mean, my practice really is, you say it is all around me. It's being with a starling murmuration on the Somerset Levels.
Wow.
It's seeing a wren in my garden. It's watching the bulbs come up. It's going for a walk at Stourhead and seeing acres of snowdrops. That's what I would describe as as my practice, and it's a gift I have from Druidry that I mention often, is the gift of noticing, the gift of an open mind, the gift of being able to receive whatever wonder I'm noticing and be awed by it, I suppose. Yeah, it's that sense of what am I trying to say? It's sort of going. It is going back to life in all its forms.
And paying that attention.
It is. It's
open to allow things to come into your awareness. So you notice a wren in the garden. And it's the simplicity in that. And I think, Lisa says, I am air sun sign, and little breezes I particularly notice. Isn't that lovely?
Oh, that's wonderful.
It's almost like I can feel it as you say it.
It's like a kiss.
Yeah. And Nikki affirms that, yes, the gift of noticing. And Lisa says she's in animals. So in the area, she has bear, cougar, fox, ravens, eagles. That they're all part of her life, where she's living in Siskiyou Mountains. How did I pronounce this?
Oh, how fantastic.
And she says it's such a part of our lives. That's the thing, the animals and the birds just being all around. And I think that's certainly a gift. I mean, not everybody's lucky to have that, but you can notice butterflies, or you can notice bees, or some little insect wherever you are, or a tiny flower, or a little plant. It's about being able to do that.
Absolutely. My totem animal is a wolf.
Yes.
And when I was working through the GWERs, it was it's get to know your totem animal. I thought, right, okay, I'm off to the wolf sanctuary. Not too far away from me, near Reading. It's not open now, but there's a wolf conservation trust.
Oh, is there? Okay.
I think I went 4 occasions for a day to work with wolves and go for a walk with one. I mean, it was on a lead, not led by me, but by, a kind of a keeper. And stroke a wolf and feed a wolf, and really get to know them. And I've been there several times, but when I first met a wolf, it was at the Bath and West show, not far from me, and you could go into a pen. They don't do it now. I think they thought better of it. And stroke a wolf, and she was lying down, and I was stroking her tummy, and she turned around and she nose to nose with me, with a wolf.
Wow.
And she looked straight into my eyes. And when I talk about connection with nature, that was a profound moment I will never forget. It's just being face to face with this amazing creature, and the keeper saying, breathe into her nose, she'll never forget you. And I thought, no, neither will I if I do that. But it was, that invitation to go and sort of learn all about your totem animal. That was just fantastic.
Oh, I'm envious. I don't like zoos, but I was with the zoo years and years ago, and I was passing the wolf pen, and I could feel this energy rushing through me as the wolves came near the fence, and it was like, oh, I wanted to be in there, and obviously I couldn't. Jules says, wolves breathe your breath to know you.
Yeah.
Wow.
And they do actually remember, because after not long after that, I went for one of the sort of days where you pretend to be a wolf keeper, and you kind of stand in a line, about 10 of you there, and the wolves are brought along and to sniff you, to get to know you. And my wolf, she was called Duma, when I'd adopted her, used to just walk straight past me. And I thought, what's that about? And said, don't worry, she knows you. That's why she walks straight past you.
Wow. It's just incredible. I mean, I would love to have a day like that. Ricky had one. The Wolf Conservation Trust Sanctuary was wonderful. I had a great day working with wolves there. Unfortunately, they've since closed to the public.
Yeah.
Oh. And Linda Joan, who's in Norfolk Island, I had a similar experience with a whale, eye to eye. So amazing.
Hey, that's fantastic.
You know, I'm having wolf whale envy. This is just not fair. Ricky says his mother had adopted Duma as well.
Oh, really? Oh, that's incredible. The world is shrinking. And who was that? Did you say Ricky?
Yeah, you know Ricky Gellison.
I must do.
He goes to the gatherings. I bet you do.
Ricky, you going to the summer gathering?
I imagine he will.
Oh, hey, we can talk wolf.
Well, there's a snake village about in a place called Goran, not far, maybe 45 minutes from here. And I remember taking the children there years and years ago. And Ruan, my son, had we used to go to Tanzania every year. So we took the kids from the time they were babies, and they had gone to a snake park once. And Ruan came home full of the joys. He had touched a python and he'd held a cobra and all sorts of things. And I thought, there's no way I'll touch a snake. Anyway, we go to this snake park, and they take a beautiful boa constrictor out. And so, do you want to touch? So the kids were doing that, and I thought, all right, just get over it. And it was a wonderful feeling. I thought I was feeling it was going to be cold, you know, cold-blooded, but it was smooth, like very, very soft leather. So we were going around looking at the other things, at the other animals and things. And I came around again, and he said, do you want to hold the snake? And I did. So he put the snake around my waist, and I tell you, this snake hugged me.
Oh.
It was the profoundest experience. And for the rest of the day, it was like, and you know, when you meet somebody and you're in love with them for the first time, it's like, oh, that's what it was like. I said, I've met a snake. I've really had a connection with the snake. And since then, I have never been frightened or anything of snakes.
Yeah, they're amazing creatures.
Incredible feeling. Just absolutely magical. So, sorry, Duma died, Ricky says.
I know. Yes. I don't know, Ricky. I went to. I've done so many days there. But what they had they got new alpha females, or got two females, and they were kept fighting because one wanted to be alpha, and so they separated them. And they thought she was lonely, so they got her a little friend. They got he was sort of semi-socialized male, huge wolf, and so they could be friends, but they got to be more than friends. And she had 4 cubs.
Okay.
And one died, and synchronicity smiled upon me again. And one of the wolf keeper days I went to, we got to meet the cubs. These little fluffy black balls of fur.
Beautiful.
We all sat in a circle and we played with these little baby wolves, little wolf cubs. And they've got enormous claws. Their claws are huge for such tiny creatures. And they're so cute because they howled and they were only babies.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So Ricky says, I met Duma on one of my wolf days as a wolf keeper. I was in the line and she intensely sniffed my crotch, and the handler said, oh, let her. As if I had any intention of persuading her otherwise. And her jaws were that close.
I'm wondering now, Ricky, if we've ever been on a wolf keeper day together.
And then Lisa, this is just wonderful. At a celebration of life recently for a special musician friend, 2 bald eagles came and in a large tree next to the river sang a precious song just before our chanting. I mean, what a gift. That is just so beautiful.
Wow, that's amazing. Has anybody ever sort of opened the eastern gateway to probably be in this country and have a buzzard or a kite fly overhead?
I've had it with birds just bursting into song.
Yeah.
As the door is open.
I know that, and I suppose, you know, talking that way, it sort of brings back the, you know, that connectivity and that awe-inspiring noticing what's going on and having that mind and soul just so open to nature. It's amazing.
Okay, Franny says, my husband took me, this is amazing, lots of wolf connection here. My husband took me to my first wolf sanctuary this Valentine's Day. I fell in love and I'm going to start, oh, this is beautiful. I'm going to start volunteering. They were amazing. Oh, that's wonderful. And Sean Hinchliffe has a pet corn snake called Shiva. Beautiful. And Lisa loves badgers. I don't.
Oh, I live near a badger set.
Oh, do you? Lovely.
And I don't have a big garden. I have a communal garden and a retirement centre I live in. And one evening I had 6 badgers on my patio.
Oh,
I could not believe it. I thought I'm hallucinating. I'm going to try and count them because some of them were quite small. They've obviously bought their babies. So 6 badgers, and they would come every evening. And I've got the most amazing photograph. My cats would sort of line up at the patio doors, all 3 of them, and wait for the badgers. And it's an amazing photograph of my big black Persian cat Merlin's nose to nose with a badger through the glass.
I
love nature.
We have a friend Mervyn who's a member of the order, and he has a camera in his garden, and often posts them on Facebook, and you can see what the badgers get.
Oh, they're so funny. They are so funny. I have big muddy paw prints up my windows where they've been scrabbling at the glass. But unfortunately, you know, they like tulips, and so do I. We have little disagreements about that.
You asked, you know, what have people noticed, you know, when opening one of the gateways? What happens? Jules says she heard a herd of cows came to join the Awans, and they were looking on very approvingly. And then Fergie, it says that they often get accompanied by the song of parakeets when they're holding their ceremonies in London. Ricky says he calls them jazz pigeons, not parakeets.
Jazz pigeons, I love it, Ricky.
And Gabby, it's just wonderful.
There was I wasn't at this particular OBOD ritual at Stonehenge, but apparently after the rituals, everyone was leaving. Several hares went into the circle. I wasn't there. I don't know if you were there, Eimear.
No.
Yeah, and there were in the fields, you know, the grass around the stone circle. After the ritual, all little ears popped up because the hares had been I like to think they were watching.
It's just beautiful, beautiful. Just so magic. Gabriella Aluna, a young buzzard in the opening of the East, once at a spiritualist funeral in a coppice of cherry trees after I sang the Celtic blessing. Gabby has an amazing voice. A kestrel hovered exactly over the open grave with a gathering of about 20 around. I looked up and stopped breathing for a moment and touched the son's arm next of kin. He looked up in amazement. One by one, the congregation looked, and the kestrel stayed for about 7 minutes. Everyone knew, and no one discussed it afterwards. We did. Just beautiful, you know, that gift.
Well, makes you sort of wonder about what, I don't know, some kind of intelligence behind synchronicity. She's getting a bit sort of, I suppose, out there. But I just wonder about what's going on. And not to look at it too closely. I mean, just don't pick it apart, because the magic will go. And it took me a long time in Druidry to actually become familiar with and understand the use of the word magic. And I have experienced so much of it that I no longer question what it is.
Well, you're going to learn this when you come to Ireland, but the Irish word for druidry and magic is the same. It's driocht.
Really? Oh, I love it. I love it.
Do you know River Jones?
Probably.
River's, River does the celebrancy training for the order, and
Oh, I know. Yes.
she says exactly, just embrace the magic and the meaning it has for you. That's her response.
Oh, so River's online tonight.
She is, yes.
Hi, River. Long time no see. Think of all those amazing druid camps at Lunasa.
Yes, beautiful, beautiful. So, what has been your greatest achievement, or the thing you're most proud of when you think of your?
Well, I have to say that on the 17th of September, I will not have picked up a drink for 40 years.
Ooh.
I don't know if that's to be proud of it or to be grateful for it. There's a sort of a rub there between those two words sometimes to me. I think it's more like gratitude. And that's something that, yeah, every day I'm grateful for. So you ask about a practice. Oh yes, it's deep gratitude for that. And I suppose being able to work with more people than I care to even try and count, who have been struggling with their own recovery.
Uh-huh.
That's why I went into to become a counsellor in drug and alcohol addiction, and to be able to, having walked through the fire myself, or being forged in it, really, to be able to go into that dark place with somebody else,
Yep.
and bring us both out safe rather than stay there. So that was working with people with substance misuse problems for 10 years, and then setting up and running a project for almost another 10 years with their families.
Oh, okay.
So it's almost like something really profoundly awful that I went through, and Philip was by my side for the worst part of it, and wow. It's some an alchemical process be able to hopefully and humbly be able to transform the lives of others.
Mm-hmm.
That's been probably what I'm doing that since 1995, longer than I really care to remember, but turning something truly damaging into something truly healing.
Wow. So what do you think has supported you in this sobriety?
Well, Adrian Rook has to come into it somewhere, because Adrian and I have exchanged many stories which through one lens would be seen as truly tragic, but we were roaring with laughter, as one often did in AA sessions as well. So I've had, I suppose, what AA to begin with, and actually doing the work. And I haven't done all the 12 steps. but I've done the first 4. But the last one is 12 steps. Is, you know, you carry on taking this work out to others. So I think in working with others, it's kept me sober. And it was the morning after Philip died, I phoned a friend who wasn't, you know, nothing to do with my work or with AA or with anything. You know. I said, Paul, come round now and take every single bottle of alcohol out of my home, please. Not that I thought I would drink, but I just didn't want it under my nose because the house is smaller and it was under my nose. And I thought, no, let's get this out. So yeah, I think that's probably it, really. I mean, there's been other things. I suppose I was in my early 20s and I said, I think I want to be an air stewardess. So I wrote to all the airlines until I got an interview. I was never one to sort of always cut corners, you know, I had to go straight to the heart of it. So yeah, I've travelled over all the world. I suppose it's just my direct thinking. Let's go straight there, Esther. Let's go straight to NHS with no stops. Yeah, I've been incredibly lucky. I've had a fantastic marriage for 40 years.
Wow.
And I've really met some amazing people. And I forgot what the original question was. So
What's your great? What are you most proud of? Your greatest achievement? I mean,
staying sober, staying abstinent. Yeah, that is my greatest achievement. I was thinking about that question, having seen others being asked it, and I was kind of, it's like being asked at an interview, isn't it? What are your strengths? And you think, oh God, I can think of everything that's wrong with me, but I can't think of anything that's gone right. I was going to say my A level in psychology at the age of 41. I went back to school.
Well, did you? Well done. You went back to school.
Yeah.
I would imagine going back to school is much harder than going to college, you know, as a mature student.
Well, it was an A level. It was an A level in a year, and I wrote the whole thing longhand. Well, didn't do it on a computer. And then another thing. So that was in 1992. I got my result. I got a B. No one ever was allowed to forget that I got a B grade. And then tender age of 46, went to university.
Wonderful.
Yep. And I was so chuffed. And Philip took this amazing picture of me with capped and gown, clutching his scroll. Yay!
What did you study in university?
I studied diploma in professional counselling.
Okay.
And then I went, I think in 2000, went back to university to do a module, which sort of could have ended up in a master's, but I didn't get the funding for the last bit for the research. So since Philip was fed up with me studying every weekend and endlessly writing and tripping over books, so I thought, well, okay, I'll call it quits. And I did get another diploma. And then I went back again, glutton for punishment. I just did a foundation year in family therapy. Oh. So it was just great. I just enjoyed it. I was just, so, and no one can take it away from you. You know, that's yours. You know, you've got this learning and it's part of you. And that was just incredible. So, yeah.
Well, and Ricky says, and he's adding to your achievements, and staying abstinent is a marvelous achievement. And which I really like is the next bit, as is your candor. And I think it's that openness. And Adrian was a guest, I can't, it was the end of 2021. And he talked about his story as well. And I never laughed so much at it in a chat.
Oh, his stories are a riot.
but a wonderful achievement to gain sobriety and keep a sense of humor. And it's just my hat off to you. Lisa says Native Americans have jingle dress dancers who dance for sobriety at cultural powwows.
Wow. That's amazing.
I mean, Lisa, are you saying that those who need sobriety do the dancing, or a jingle dress dancer does the dancing for the people who need sobriety? I don't know. Okay.
Yeah, that's every. I don't think Adrian will mind me saying this, but every New Year's Day, Adrian and JJ climb Glastonbury Tor for a gratitude ritual.
Lovely.
And I was privileged to be able to join them this year.
Oh, lovely.
So New Year's Day, it's freezing cold, wind's blowing up poorly, and JJ and Adrian were drumming and singing, and there were a crowd of us, and it was absolutely great. That's a celebration.
Brilliant.
So on the 17th of September this year, I will be in Glastonbury, and I will again climb the Tor and do my own gratitude ritual.
Wonderful, wonderful. Just, I'm so impressive. Just so impressive.
And I am very, very grateful. Very grateful.
Well, a gratitude, I think in the midst of all the pain and terror and trauma or whatever is going on, the horrible life events, to have gratitude, to me is like a lifeline. It brings so much comfort and also perspective.
Yeah, and it does, and it's very much an AA thing. You cultivate an attitude of gratitude, it's called. And this morning, and I've forgotten the name of the person who's 130 kilometers from the Russian border.
Oh, and she's in Finland.
Finland, yeah. I was watching that this morning. I'm watching the news, and I was just riveted to the television screen. And I thought, my God, no matter how bad my day might get today, and it didn't, it's been a really good day, I'm not going to have a tank outside my front door anytime soon. And certainly working with homeless hostels, we're supporting the staff, which isn't the work I do. Seeing these guys, and they haven't got a roof over their head. They haven't got, half the things I take for granted in my life, I suddenly don't take for granted.
Yes.
Roof over my head, warmth, a bed to sleep in, food. And really, it's being able to focus right down on those essentials of life that sometimes we don't realize we have until someone tries to take them away from us.
Yes, absolutely.
I've learned a lot. I really have learned a lot and continue to do so.
Yeah. Hey, Francis is a he. Francis is in Finland, and it's a he.
Francis used to be in the Dabooni Grove.
Francis Joy.
Yes. Hi, Francis. Oh, wow. Gosh, it's like a family gathering.
And nobody knew. This is beautiful, beautiful.
Just amazing.
Great. When Lisa mentioned the jingle dance, somebody says, what does the jingle dress represent? Originally Ojibwe tradition, the jingle dress has become pan-Indian, spreading into the Dakotas and across Indian country. Throughout history, women acted as caregivers and healers. Today, the jingle dress acts as a reference to the power of women. So it's a heavy dress, so it must have bells and things on it, and meant to be a prayer. That's fascinating. And each movement is a prayer. Just this is the thing, is trying to follow the thread when we're talking about the dancing for sobriety, and it's the women who do it. That's really interesting. Wow.
I must have a chat to Adrian, and we could open up a whole new ritual with bells on, literally.
Yes, brilliant. Oh, it's lovely. Hazelnut herbs. That's a lovely name. The more druids I meet, the more people I find with beautiful hearts. This is a lovely conversation. I enjoyed all these lovely thoughts. Thank you. Or talks. Thank you. Thank you, Hazelnut. That's just.
Thank you.
It's. Yeah. I mean, I think these conversations, and I mean, my guests are brilliant, but are the people's comments and how they add to the conversation.
I know we've had meeting up with Francis, however virtually, memories of Dabuni, and 2 connections with the Wiltshire Times, living about 3 miles away from me.
Yes.
And Ricky with the Duma connection, and those of you who are living through difficult times with those that you are loving and maybe losing or have lost. Yeah, my heart goes out to you. My heart really does go out to you. It's tough times.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah, I wish you the holding of friends and family.
Thank you. I think that goes for everybody. So, do you have any regrets, Esther?
Not stopping drinking sooner.
Okay.
I suppose really screwing up the end of my career with the airline through drink. Deep regrets over that. Those I hurt people when I was drinking. I know I did. I've made amends in the best way I know possible. That's probably the one that comes to my heart the soonest. There are probably others, but compared to that, sort of pale into insignificance, really. People I've hurt, people I've ever offended, however unintentionally, and I've never had the chance to apologise. But for anyone who's ever done that ritual of release, it goes a long way to healing that, and that's powerful and doesn't only need to be done once. No, it is pain. It's pain I've caused. Yeah.
It's you're so open, and Gail says compassion and kindness shines through you.
Thank you.
And self-forgiveness is a practice. Yes, it is. And Lisa says we love you. So.
Oh, that's so wonderful. Thank you. That's right back at you, Lisa, and everybody. Oh, thank you so much. I'm not. I suppose one thing I want to say. I mean, I can't remember who sort of mentioned my candor.
Ricky.
Ricky, I'm not ashamed of my alcoholism.
Yeah.
And I think that's being open about it has hopefully helped others. We've talked about some pretty heavy stuff: death, dying, alcoholism. Wow.
Life.
But surviving, thriving.
I think it's very inspirational, and Lisa says blessings to the open-hearted, because there's none of us is perfect.
No.
And Anne is just saying, so you're speaking for me, Anne. Your openness is inspiring. So when you speak as you do about grief, about and I just really appreciate that you said you're not ashamed of it. I think that's really, really important. Because I think there's so much shaming around addictions, etc. And to be able to say you're not and you've come through. Stephanie says, my brother passed away from alcohol at the age of 48. So sorry to hear that. Thank you for all that you're doing for those stuck in their addiction. It's a hard disease where compassionate support from others is very much needed.
Yeah. Yeah. And I've said before, and I've done a lot of joint work with Adrian when I look back over, especially with families. But to have lost a loved one through alcoholism is bloody tough. Just so many feelings associated with that. Last thing to do is to blame yourself.
Yeah. So Kate Dooley, she said, I lost my husband to 46 years last October. I'm so sorry to hear that. And you had 46 years together. How wonderful. So, and a very, very big loss. So sorry to hear about that. So I hope you're getting this.
Me too. That's a tough one. Philip and I were together in total years together was 50 years. So it's most of my life, really. So I'm sorry to hear that loss. Yeah, I don't know how specifically anyone feels because it's their loss, but I can begin to imagine.
Yeah. John he's contradicted me. Thank you, John, for this. I said none of us is perfect, and he said, but we are perfect. It's just that we keep forgetting.
Oh, I love that.
It's a beautiful reframe. Thank you so much for that, John. It is beautiful.
Okay, that's tomorrow morning's thought. That's tomorrow's thought for the day.
I must remember that I'm perfect. That's brilliant.
Oh, I love that.
Oh, so Francis, up in Finland, alcoholism, like other addictions, is a family illness characterized by trauma during childhood and a genetic predisposition and other events such as shame and neglect that contribute to its development. I don't know if there's any family that doesn't have some. I certainly have it in my extended family. And then Ferdiet says, removing the stigma and shame around illness is powerful work, and you are a force for good in the world, Esther.
Oh, thank you.
And Linda Joan, thanks so much for a great conversation. It's an honor to be privileged to your insights. Thank you. And then John, more wisdom from John. Nature is perfect, therefore so are we. Oh, that is just absolutely
wonderful. Wow, so much. You've all given me so much. Thank you. I feel validated, affirmed. Thank you. That's yes, such generosity. I sort of I'm feeling a love.
Well, it isn't hard to share it. I mean, I think what you've been saying has been such a gift to me, for me to hear it, but also for our viewers to hear it. I think it's just, how honesty is something we all value, but then there's honesty and there's honesty. And to hear people and to hear my guests share stories, their story, is such a gift. It really, really is, because we learn from other people's stories. We can heal from them or be inspired, or that, I'm not the only one, or I'm so glad that here is somebody who has a similar experience to me and I'm not isolated. And I think that is really, really important. And remember, we've lived with so much isolation, particularly these last few years. I mean, I think people there are many people living alone and isolated, but I think that isolation has been amplified and so many more people experiencing that. So to be able to hear your story is, we're not alone. Absolutely.
No.
So I suppose, we're talking about, I usually ask a question, your concern in this world. And I know you've mentioned what's happening in Ukraine at the moment, and that's a big topical thing now. What gives you hope, or do you have any hope at the moment?
I do have hope. Gaia will survive. Gaia will survive. That is my hope. I stand back and I'm absolutely fascinated and appalled equally by the nature of of man, humankind's greed, in a materialistic sense, and what it is costing the earth. I once heard one of my clients who said he truly thought that mankind was a virus on the face of the planet, destroying it, and that kind of stuck with me. And I think it will be a slow dawning of awareness. But I have invested my hope in the next generation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
In Gothenburg, in those young activists who perhaps see more clearly past the cost of materialism, and this realization that our home, Gaia, planet Earth, has been seen from space, and we have images of our home, and it's beautiful. And my hope is that those images sort of go deep into the consciousness of generations to come, to want to work for and preserve that beauty, which is just utterly beyond words phenomenal. And we destroy the earth, we destroy ourselves, don't we?
Yes, of course.
We destroy ourselves. Let's sort of hope for a dawning of awareness of the cost of greed.
Say that again.
For the a dawning of awareness of the cost of our greed.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
And in a sense, that kind of is like an addiction in something. When is it enough? Not knowing when you have enough.
I've got a book on my shelf behind me called "When Is Enough Enough?" And it's just like it's constantly more. And the more we're fed, the more we want. It's like until the earth is sick, not us. The earth is sick, but our souls are sick from it.
Pat says humans are part of the ecosystem. When we get out of hand, the ecosystem will adapt, survive, and rein us back in.
Yeah.
The earth is in no danger, only our way of life. Let's hope
Yeah. No, the earth is, and that's a truly optimistic thing to say and to believe. Whether the human race will survive, I don't know.
Who knows?
That's rather a doomsday prediction, isn't it? That's not very hopeful, but it's hope for Gaia.
Yes. And then Philip, because it's good to have this as well. There are many good, kind people who see the value of the earth, and that's true, And Hazelnut Herb says, I found in my life that the word enough is such a powerful and wonderful word that when I have said it, it creates great and wonderful change in my life. And you're a psychotherapist. I'm a psychologist, psychotherapist. You know, Winnicott talked about the good enough mother, and it's about being the good enough person.
Yeah.
Is really, really important, rather than the perfect being or the excellent being, is being good enough. And I think, you know, it is a very, very powerful word that I am enough, you're enough, we're enough, we have enough.
Yeah, getting there though is it can be uncomfortable.
Yes.
That soul-searing honesty and humility and discomfort when we realize that yeah, shouldn't have really have done that, said that. Yeah, and as long as we learn from it, it's fine. If we don't, we just carry on doing it.
That's right. And learning is very, very important. You know, we've come to the end of our time, Esther, and we're not finished talking. We could continue this for hours.
Seaweed Islands.
But we, yeah, and John says it's the grit and the oyster that makes the pearl.
Oh, so that is so true. That is so true. We need to be irritated.
So my usual final question is, you know, what is your favorite season and what is your favorite ceremony marking the wheel of the year?
My favorite season is autumn. Season mist and mellow fruitfulness. I love the stillness. I love the mist. I love that sort of, there's a sense of completion in one sense, but almost it's like starting a new term at school. So it's a time of both endings and beginnings. Oh, my favorite ritual. I love Imolc. I love it. I really do. It just, oh, it's hope. It's, you know, little shoots coming up through the ground, and the light changes, the air changes, the birds start singing again. We honor a really powerful goddess.
Yeah. Brilliant. And I love the snowdrops as soon as I see them. Just it's just been such a joy talking to you. Actually, Sandy Coombs, lovely to see you, Esther. Thank you for your wise words. That's from Madeleine. She mentioned earlier that she has metal thingies if you want to do that dance to make a dress. She has the metal for it.
Oh, wow. Fantastic. Is that Madeleine, who's up in the north of Scotland?
She's with Sandy Coombs. She's using her email, or she's on her Facebook. Oh. You better identify yourself, Madeleine, and be more specific. So, and Stefana says her favorite season is spring. Yes, Sandy says yes. It's the same person.
Hi, Madeleine. Love to Iona.
So thank you for everything you've shared. Another great fireside chat. Thanks, Franny. Listen, it's been just such a joy, Esther. Really, really. And it's from Carnovi, Sandy from the Carnovi Grove.
Oh, hi.
Okay. It's just such a joy. I just have to say thank you so much. And selfishly, I'm looking forward to our meeting in real in a few weeks' time, and in Hall, and as you step on your ancestral lands and have an even deeper connection with that. So I'm going to say goodbye to you, but stay where you are because we'll look at the comments. We haven't been able to look at all of them, and I look forward. I'll be just chatting to you. And looking forward to seeing you soon. So you can say goodbye to everybody.
Bright blessings on your lives and such wonderful comments, and go well and stay safe.
Great. So I'll see you in a few minutes, Esther. So listen, thank you all for your wonderful comments. And it's been a real joy to talk to Esther and to have you included in our conversation. Now, I won't be here this time next week, because I'm going to the Druid Gorseth in Wales, and I will be back in 2 weeks' time. So I look forward to seeing you then. In the meantime, have a good weekend and be safe, and many, many blessings of this time. So, slán go fóill.